Police have launched a corporate manslaughter investigation at the Countess of Chester Hospital, where baby killer Lucy Letby worked. The 33-year-old former nurse was sentenced to a whole life order after she was convicted of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill another 6 between 2015 and 2016. Joining me now is TalkTV correspondent Holly Hudson, who's followed the case very closely. Holly, what exactly does corporate manslaughter mean, and how does that apply to a hospital?
So corporate manslaughter is a criminal offence whereby an organisation, a business or a company is essentially found to have caused death by its own negligence, by the way it's managed its affairs, breached essentially its duty of care. In this situation, no individuals can be prosecuted, but the organisation of the trust of the Countess of Chester Hospital as a whole will be looked into. And if they are found guilty, if charges are brought, then they will be liable to a fine, potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds. Now, corporate manslaughter charges are very hard to bring, very difficult to bring, and very rarely brought against a health body, which goes to show really just how significant a development this is. Yes. We know, of course, Lucy Letby herself will never be released from prison. She was convicted of the murder of 7 babies and the attempted murder of 6 more in her care at the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital. But there have always been questions about the hospital itself and its role after accusations that senior management executives missed vital opportunities to stop her and ignored a number of warnings. Now, I've got a statement from the Cheshire Constabulary that have, of course, investigated Lucy Letby and are now investigating the hospital. They say that the investigation will focus on the indictment period of the charges for Lucy Letby from June 2015 to 2016 and consider areas including senior leadership and decision-making to determine whether any criminality has taken place. At this stage, we are not investigating any individuals in relation to gross negligence manslaughter.
Right. And so just for further elucidation, because it is quite difficult to understand what this means, it was never considered by the hospital, and nobody's suggesting it was, that the hospital said it is perfectly fine to take the lives of innocent babies. We don't mind, we turn a blind eye, we think that's okay. That's not the accusation, but it's much more complex than that. It's as if the culture at the hospital could have contributed to making a kind of atmosphere or climate where, when something remiss occurred, it wasn't reported, it wasn't investigated. Is it much more that kind of thing?
Yes, that's right. So there were accusations, and we heard a lot during the trial and following Lucy Letby's conviction from the consultants on the neonatal unit, from those doctors, about that culture, accusing the Countess of a cover-up, trying to protect their reputation, and, as I mentioned, ignoring a number of warnings. We know that as many as 10 opportunities potentially were missed by the hospital, by bosses. The consultants raised the alarm after noticing an association, as they put it, with Lucy Letby as early as June 2015, when she in fact murdered her first victim, her first baby A. And it wasn't until the tragic deaths of babies O and P nearly a year later that consultants insisted that she be removed. And even then, they had to resolutely resist, they say, attempts by management to have Letby back on the unit. And the consultants themselves claim that it wasn't until they insisted that the police were brought in a year later to investigate. Now, the hospital have also issued a statement this afternoon. The Countess of Chester Hospital NHS Foundation Trust said, "We are deeply saddened and appalled at Lucy Letby's crimes when the verdicts were delivered. Following the trial, we've always maintained we'll be supporting the ongoing investigation by Cheshire Police and will be cooperating fully with the investigation announced today so that we can help get the answers that the families and babies affected by this case rightly deserve." Cheshire Police have given us their assurance they're providing ongoing support to the families who remain at the forefront of our thoughts and efforts to support this investigation.